Welcome to ComSpark. We are live in Cambridge, Massachusetts at MIT, attending the Chief Data Officer Quality Symposium, where the world leaders in data have gathered. My name is Matt Durano. I'm your guest host today. Joining me is Rory Abbazio, partner and author from E3i Consulting. Rory, how you doing, sir?
Great, Matt. How are you?
Doing all right. Appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time as well.
So we're going to have a quick little conversation, kind of understand really what drew you to the symposium, and we'll kind of take it from there. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. So what brought you in today? What's focused on these 2-day?
Yeah, so for me, I saw the MIT Symposium as really a culminating event where the world's AI data leaders come together as kind of a thought tank and best practices, what's gone on in the past year that was different from the CDO Symposium last year. You heard Doug Laney speak about, data monetization. That's a big, heavy topic. You hear a lot about governance. About data governance, especially with the Capital One data breach going on. So a lot of heavy topics, and you could see, and Dr. Wang alluded to it, that data is our future. Whether you can't get around it, you have to get on the data bus, as I alluded to in my book, or you're going to get hit by it. CIO, CTO, CEO. The way of the future is data-driven companies, and that's what's driving the competitive advantage, and that's what's really making some other companies that aren't digitizing and datatizing, if you will, making them irrelevant as well. So meeting all those people, understanding where they're at and their heartaches or hardships and successes as well, like what did you do right, like what was the breaking point, is great for me to understand as a culminating point in my life. As a consultant and leading my own consulting company.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So from what I understand, to wind it back, you served as an Army Ranger, correct?
Yes, so I went to West Point and then I served as a U.S. Army Ranger, served in the 75th Ranger Regiment, did 3 tours of Afghanistan, and then came back, and I spent a lot of my time with the communication signal. That was my specialty. Like, for me, I wasn't an infantryman. Like, I wasn't out on target. Like, I was in the Joint Operations Center, pulling in all the surveillance feeds, and realizing that was kind of, why I joined the Army in the first place was really because I was inspired by 9/11. To go to that, for me, I was a little bit of a punk in high school, a little bit of rebel. And I walked in late to my criminal justice class. It was at 9:03 a.m. I remember specifically seeing the old tube television, and I literally walked in while the second plane was crashing into the tower. And that was my inspiration to go, not even to go to West Point at the time, I felt angry, I felt sad, I felt really moved, and that was my inspiration to take my life where I have, to go to West Point, to become an Army Ranger, to be the best of the best. Really, that was the first data point in my life, which triggered my transformation, if you will, to give back to society, to say like, hey, this is not acceptable. And I'm realizing more and more that, data can help us get to a more tranquil, peaceful society where everyone can flourish.
Sure. Well, again, thank you very much for your service.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. So I guess I might have heard something in there. Is that when you got bit by the data bug, when you were doing your communications?
Yes.
Is that what really led you into it when you got home?
I think so. So, realizing that, people need to communicate on the battlefield. I mean, you see the drones, you hear about all this stuff in the news, like it's all data driven,
Sure.
right? Like the intelligence that's gathered, it's all data, right? And so that's how we select the targets and everything like that. So that was me seeing at least technology at that point, maybe not necessarily data, being integral to our future, being, how do we combat terrorism? How do we multiply our forces, leveraging technologies and accelerating, to quote Jim Collins. So yeah, that's when I first saw data, and that's when I started to understand that there might be some opportunities, some altruistic opportunities for me to give back in the business world as well.
Okay. So having been back, I guess you've been pretty busy, right? So tell us a little bit about the authorships that you've been penning and where that's taken you.
Yeah, so I've been super busy. Ever since I left the military, I've had a great mentor. His name is Richard Ducci. Okay. He was the CIO of Boston Scientific at the time. He hired me directly from the Army. I literally did have no IT marketing skills. He hired me to do the IT marketing team there. We did a huge implementation of Box.com with, the Aaron Levy's the CEO of the Box there. I think it was 25,000 or 20,000 seats globally, unheard of, right after GE. Rich tweeted about it, and he became a really close mentor and still is today. So I started off Boston Scientific and didn't really know much about the corporate world. So I was really leveraging the raw leaderships I learned both at West Point and also as a Ranger, and bringing those and applying those and asking a bunch of questions, being curious, like, why do we do it this way? Like looking at the lens of people, process, technology, and adding to that a little modern twist of culture, governance, and solutions. So looking at, all right, do we have the right people, but is it the right culture to seek innovation? And all right, do we have the right processes, but is those processes governed? Like, are we maximizing our innovation because we have the right balance of governance around it? And then not just one solution, one technology, but a solution that's end-to-end that provides value. So I'm bringing from source to analytics or whatever the end process, artificial intelligence might be. What is the value of doing that? If my team goes to work, if I were to consult, what's the value of me doing something for you? Are you going to, find a better customer lead? Are you going to know more customer intimacy? Or are you going to improve a product? Like what are you doing and why are you doing is the questions I started to ask. And those basic questions really led to like, well, why are we doing it this way? Can we do it differently? Can we use the cloud? Can we use something like Tableau to do ad hoc reporting? And the questions became yes, yes, yes. And as innovation poured into Boston Scientific at the time, more people got on the data bus because they saw like the light, and they had the tools. Like it was really, and someone else alluded to this in the conference, it was about the partnership between IT and the business. I had an IT title, but you could have sworn I was a business person because I was always with them. And that's how I learned though. Like I knew the IT stuff, or I knew someone in my team, the architects, the solution architects, the analysts, they knew it better than I did. For me, I saw myself as a leader pulling those two forces together, both the business, my IT team, the technical people, everyone, and then also show the value to our leaders saying, this is the ROI of doing the project, the return on investment. This is the value you're doing. Like we're gonna get, less customer attrition, whatever it might be, or, in Boston Scientific's case, be able to show the doctors, potentially the right devices to show them. I haven't been there for years, so. But just one example.
Sure. So I guess you're trying to then move those teachings into in-classroom curriculum too, correct?
Yeah, so for me, just to fast forward a little bit, so after Boston Scientific, I did another gig with, leading a data and analytics organization at National Grid under Rich as well. And then from there, at National Grid, we hit the peak. Like it was, you have to understand National Grid, a utility company, awesome company. But when I went there, they're like, that lacks innovation. And that was kind of true, except for like, little increments. And, very bureaucratic in nature because it's a regulated monopoly. So people are like, no, we don't want to do cloud. But, Rich brought me in and was like, hey, we're going to do cloud, we're going to do agile. Not to use those terms lightly and just throw them around, but that's what we ended up doing. Like I had to teach people like how to do agile, the importance of it. It was painfully slow to get people on the scrum calls. Like no one got it for the first month. But after, the second month, the third month, the efficiencies, people coordinating, collaborating, like everything started to come together. So, what I like to tell people is like sometimes in your journey, like things are gonna have to suck. Like not everything is pleasant. Like you're gonna have to give it that 110% to get it to that great sustaining point. Like you're gonna have to break that threshold of pain to get out of those processes that have encumbered you so long in order to go through that. And that's where that whole people, process, technology comes through, looking at through that lens.
And that's what's being applied in the curriculum?
Yeah, so for me, I think, I want to teach people like how to do data, right? No matter what level you are. So whether I'm talking to chief information officers, chief data officers, or analysts, or a chief executive officer, or director of supply chain and manufacturing, I want them to understand the importance of data for themselves and then for their company. And that's what, I take the didactic approach both in the book and then also hopefully courses that will be coming out in teaching people like, hey, this is how to apply data analytics real life. Like, so Doug talks about data monetization. That's like the culmination. For me, I really want to take like the 4 dummies guy and say, all right, how do we ingest data? These are all the ways to ingest it. All right, then what do we do with it? And these are the analytic tools you put on top of it. So, and in the book, and then also in the teachings, I use cartoons. So I hired a creative director and a cartoon artist to say, these topics are super hard. I'm so tired of looking at bulletized slides. Like people can't consume that information. Like we're already on information overload between our iPhones, our iPads, everything. Like I just can't see text. Like I need to see pictures because then I'll remember, right? The human mind, the psychology of it, people just remember what they see. So, and I've seen that make an impact. When I go into a new company as a consultant and they see cartoons, they're like, what is this guy for real? And then I get into it and they're like, oh, I get why he's doing this now. Like it's a complex topic and I see how he's trying to make everyone come on the bus because that's really what my objective is. It's not, to sell consultancy. It's not like, it's so like, hey, like this is the way of our future. Like I want to simplify it and make it lucid enough for everyone to understand it so we can all come together and make the best out of our future.
That's great. That's absolutely great. Well, I really appreciate you spending some time with us, Rory, and providing your insights.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Wish you the absolute best of luck in your book as well as your classroom work there that's coming out as well. So
thank you.
Appreciate it. For more on today's interview, please visit ComSpark.tech.